from a business standpoint, what people should really pay attention to if they're thinking about starting a business is realizing that you start where you are. There's no future version of yourself that is better prepared than the one in front of you right now.
Welcome to day one of our Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit. I'm Kamika Ruth Taylor, and today I have with me Javette Nixon. He is a serial entrepreneur, speaker, and investor, the founder and chairman of Seaforth Holdings Limited, a boutique investment and holding company which focuses on impact investing and the development of emerging businesses and social enterprises. His other portfolio currently includes Point Global Marketing Limited, Esther Ventures Limited, and Esther Finance Limited. Javette is also the director of Vein Centers of Jamaica Limited and the Social Economic Alliance for Development. He has over 2 decades of experience in a variety of industries, gained both in the United States and Jamaica. He's an alumnus of the University of London and the Technology of Innovation Center Incubator that was at the University of Technology. And he also is an alumnus of the Branson, that is Richard Branson Center of Entrepreneurship in the Caribbean, and a Young Leader of the Americas 2016 Professional Fellow. He was also the season 1 winner of the NCB Capital Quest entrepreneurship competition that was held in Jamaica in 2015. Let's welcome Javette Nixon to the summit. Hi, Javette, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
All right. I am so looking forward to this conversation because we're encouraging authors to turn their books into profitable products and services or start businesses with their books. That's what authorpreneurship is all about. But you're doing the reverse. You are an entrepreneur, and now you have embarked on your author journey, and you have a book coming out in the first quarter of this year. So tell us all about that journey and what that book is about.
Okay. So I think the pandemic created opportunities for reflection. And in my own reflection, I was thinking about my own business journey. And I realized that there wasn't a lot of work that dealt with business from a Caribbean environment, from our Caribbean stories. And I wanted to kind of put the kind of work out there that I wanted to read when I was 21 years old and just thinking about starting my business. And for me, that's exactly what entrepreneurship is about. It's about identifying where there are gaps and seeking to find solutions to kind of bridge that gap.
I love that. So we've been holding it as a surprise for our audience. What's the name of that book?
All right, so the name of the book is From the Margin. It really talks about how Caribbean businesses and Caribbean life operates. Regardless of where you are in the strata of Caribbean society, your life usually reflects a lot of overcoming of challenges and a lot of learning. And that's kind of the vein of which I wrote. I wanted my own life, a Caribbean man's life, to be reflected in that, but also to be interspersed with serious business lessons that somebody can then read and then apply in a very practical way to their businesses. And I hope when the audience reads it, that's what they will get from the journey.
Yes, I'm sure they will get that from the journey because I have read it. Being that our company is publishing it, I found it very inspiring. During this summit, we're going to be launching Bamboo Sparks, and that's going to be our global publishing business to help more of our Caribbean authors in the diaspora to really produce more books and to create book-based initiatives. So in reading it, I found it very useful, and that's part of the reason we decided to have you on this summit. So for the author who is thinking, I want to fulfill a need, because every nonfiction book solves a problem and they want to venture out into business. What are some of the things that they need to bear in mind so they don't make the mistakes you made or like I made as I shared on the previous summit in this journey. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, firstly, I wanted to say, without your team working on this with me, I don't think it would have seen the light of day. Certainly not in as early as we have been able to do it. So thank you to Bamboo Sparks and your team for being able to collaborate with us and work with us on this. I think from a business standpoint, what people should really pay attention to if they're thinking about starting a business is realizing that you start where you are. There's no future version of yourself that is better prepared than the one in front of you right now. If you're looking in the mirror and you're thinking, oh, I have an idea or an initiative, you are the smartest that you will ever be at that point when you're looking at yourself. So it really start where you are. That's kind of the first lesson that I learned in growing my business. A lot of people undervalue an idea. But everything that you see around you starts off with an idea. So never undervalue your thinking about a situation or you're thinking about a solution. And that's for me, it's a number one lesson. That's where everything starts. It starts with you conceptualizing in your mind how you'd want a solution to operate, and then taking practical steps to implement that solution. The next lesson that I articulated in the book is, how do you actually move from where your idea is to actually implementing that idea and taking practical steps to implement that idea. And my first point also stands there. Where you are right now, you will never be in a better place mentally. And the earlier you start and the mistakes that you think you're going to avoid by waiting to start, really, it's best you jump in and make those mistakes, because those prepare you for the version of yourself that you're trying to create. Nobody climbs a mountain by starting at the top. And in order to get to the top of the mountain, you actually have to go through each of the steps. So some of the mistakes that people try to make, I don't know if I know enough, I don't have this, but you really have to start the steps and the journey and make those mistakes, because in making those mistakes, it creates the version of you that is able to lead and to grow. And I'll leave the audience with a third one, which is realize that in the power of your network, in the power of talking to people about your ideas, therein lies solutions that you don't even know that you have. And when you try to work through your network, when you try to work through the people who you know, regardless of where those people fall or where they are, powerful things can happen. So those are that come directly from the book, from the margin. So, and there are others around how businesses start on digital transformation. How do you seek to build good network? How do you access mentorship and others that the readers will be able to access?
I love it. All right. So you have founded a successful marketing business called Point Global. It's now 10 years old, and you are part of other businesses. So what is it that this book is expected to do? Why have you decided to write a book? Because you already have a platform. How is this book going to help you in your endeavors?
So I think the first thing, they're about personal goals as well as public goals. I think the first personal goals for me is looking at the 10 years in business, we have achieved a measure of success, as you had indicated. And I wanted to kind of reflect on that measure of success, not only for myself, but for the wider Point Global team, kind of giving us a kind of a manuscript of our own way of doing things, if we will. But beyond that, as indicated before, I've been in business for a fairly long time now. And I remember when I was starting out, I started my first business when I was in my early 20s. No, I'm probably about 21 years old. And I wanted to kind of give the Caribbean audience a blueprint that persons that reflected my own journey could pick up if they're at UAE or wherever they are, in Moko, in St. Thomas, in Montego Bay, and see a version of their story reflected in it and learn the lessons from that story and kind of paint a version of the future that maybe in their immediate instant they don't have the ability to see. Some of the things that my own entrepreneurial journey has been able to do for me, I could not have that concept Sean, of things when I was just starting out. Point Global now operates in 3 countries. We just signed up to a global collective that represents some 4 billion Jamaican dollars in overall revenue as a part of our agency. We have a number of employees and team members that are so committed to the vision of assisting emerging businesses. And at 21 or 22 or 23, the ability to kind of fully conceptualize that and work towards that wasn't immediately apparent. So one of my favorite quotes is from the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, who says that you can't really connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, but you can find examples. That's my adding on to his saying now, looking forward. And I wanted to use my writing to kind of be an example. But beyond that, as I run an agency, and in running an agency, I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs about their journey. I run a consulting business, an advisory business. So for me, this book opens opportunity to speak to even a wider cross-section. I speak at a lot of conferences. This is now a mechanism by which those conversations are framed and extended. So it's in many ways an extension of my own advisory business, and providing that advice in a pre-packaged way that even before I get on stage to talk to somebody, they can have an understanding of my own thinking when it comes down to business, and my own thinking when it comes down to how they build and grow.
That's brilliant. And you just emphasize what this summit is all about and why we promote entrepreneurship, because in the word authority is author. And so though you have your business, this book is going to stamp your authority, and it's going to open doors to countries and places that you perhaps even never will go, get into homes and offices that you perhaps would not get a chance to go into. And who knows, this can become a text that business schools will use all around the world. So as much as we emphasize that you should, if you have no platform at all, that the book gives you a platform. If you have a platform, that book is going to launch you further, faster, and it will be a stamp of your authority. So we love that. And this is day 1 of the summit. So you're getting the gems. And we want to thank Javette for sharing those gems and talking about his debut book, From the Margins, as an entrepreneur, telling our story as Caribbean people. You don't have to constantly look at European and North American models. We have our people winning, and they're sharing their story. And we want to encourage more entrepreneurs to share your journey, and do not just write about how to build a business, but share your story in it, because that is the winning formula. Talk a little bit more before we wrap up about your consulting business and how we can engage you as authors who are going to be starting businesses with their books. Talk to us about Point Global specifically and how you can help us.
So Point Global is a marketing and branding firm that has been around for 10 years. Our specific focus is on emerging businesses. And so anybody who is thinking about starting a business, Point Global should be one of your first points of contact. And what we work with businesses on doing is really thinking through how you do general marketing strategies, but also how do you formulate your business to succeed? How do you do things like corporate governance in a small business environment? How do you ensure that you're compliant with things like your taxes and your registration done properly? And yes, how do you do marketing? How do you reach the people that you're trying to reach? And how do you turn those people not just into customers, but into advocates for your business? So Point Global is basically strictly focused on small business and helping those businesses both from a branding and a marketing standpoint, but also extending that to how they do everything and how they reach customers and convert those customers into advocates. You can reach Point Global at www.pointglobalmarketing.com or pointgm.com. And we have, if you go on that platform, you will see a way to access consultations. We do a number of consultations with small businesses, and I think we're giving away one through this process. So you'll be able to access a free consultation, which I will do actually personally, just talking through how you do everything with your business, how you segment your market, how you access certain resources, how do you do digital properly, how do you do digital smartly without wasting resources. So those are some of the things that I will take the businesses through. We also have an initiative called Digital Housing, and your audience can read more about that at www.digitalhousing.info. And we have an accelerator program that we recently launched that we're working directly with a number of businesses. The first cohort will get started in early in the new year. And we have limited slots. So if they're interested, that's another way of connecting and working directly with Point Global to actually really move businesses forward. And part of that journey is capital, because we do have a VC called that I'm the managing partner of, Mr. Ventures, that will be looking at some of these businesses that can actually take on investment capital to scale.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And as one of our partnering sponsors and one that has used their services, I can vouch for Javette Nixon and Point Global, because there are certain things in setting up the business that we had no clue about. Not only that, for those who want the convenience, you don't want to run up and down at company's office, especially those are in Jamaica. And their company was able to help us to set up Bamboo Sparks and advise us, how to set up our board and different governance issues and articles of incorporation. They took the headache off of us, and we were just thrilled to have them as our business consultants. And so we are happy that they're part of this. And we know many authors, very often they are bootstrapping. Many indie authors don't have the money and they don't have the backing of a traditional publishing company. So you may want to vie for that consultation, because we're going to be sending that out. And tonight, for our first Q&A session, Javette will be there live along with other entrepreneurs. We're going to have Dalan Vanterpool out of Panama. We're going to be having Nerissa Golden out of Montserrat, and all of them are experts in entrepreneurship, and they're also authors. So you don't want to miss that session this evening, where it's live and you can come and ask your questions. I'm sure you want to know much more about entrepreneurship, and we're going to tell you how you can win that consultation session. So you have to come to the live Q&A, where one lucky person is going to walk away with a consultation with the CEO of Point Global and a new author on the block with his book, From the Margins. And it's a blueprint for small businesses in developing countries to thrive. Once again, Javette, thank you for sharing on this summit, and we look forward to our work in the future.